Hello, everyone. Very, very good evening. Welcome to the Machine Learning and Data Science Coach. I'm Suman, and I'm thrilled to have you in this exciting journey where we'll explore the power of data, algorithms, and AI-driven solutions. Throughout this course, we'll be, taking the hands-on projects and the practical approach to learning, focusing on the real-world applications, coding in Python and building the solid foundation machine learning, as well as your data science concepts. Whether you are new to the field or looking to enhance your skills, this course will equip you with the tools that is required to gain the knowledge to tackle the data-driven challenge effectively. Feel free to ask questions, experiment with code, and engage with the discussions. The more you practice and explore, the deeper you understand it better. So I request everyone, let's make this learning experience interactive, insightful, and impactful. Looking forward for the exciting journey together. Let's dive in. So I request everyone, you have to tell me, you have to answer one question in the chat box. Do you have any idea of programming? It's not about just Python I'm restricting to. Do you have any idea about programming? Do you have any concepts, or if you have any, basics of programming? Any programming is fine. So if it is yes, kindly write yes in the chat box. If it is no, kindly write no in the chat box. A very, very vast topic. Okay, we cannot complete all those topics in just 25 hours. It's a very restricted time, so we cannot complete all those topics in 25 hours. So what we are going to do is, we are basically understanding what Python is basically useful in data science and how Python is useful in machine learning. Okay, so this we are going to learn in the next 25 hours. Clear? So before learning or before understanding what is Python, or let's say what is programming, what is Python programming, we have to understand the basics of what is a programming. Okay, so I want everyone to answer your own answers, or let's say for this questions, you have to frame your own answer. That is, what is programming? You can use your own words, anything is fine, but I want everyone to reply in the chat box. What do you mean by programming? Anyone? You can come up with any answers. Any answers is will be taken as a positive feedback. What is a programming? So this will be the last time I'll be asking you the questions. Anymore in the entire course, I won't be asking you to, tell me the answers, or let's say interact with the chat box. No, only if I say yes or no, you are supposed to interact. All those answers I won't be expecting, because everything what we are going to do is, this is completely practical based. Okay, we are not using theory. We are not using any PDFs or something like that. We are completely focusing on practically. Clear? So I have several answers here. So programming means to run and get the results. Perfect. Writing the instructions to the computer. Perfect. Blocks of code to use. Simplify some given task. Yes, perfect. So these are programming refers to the fact of giving instructions to the machine and yes, perfect, guys. So I have given a very perfect answer. Now, since you all might be knowing what is a programming, I have a simple question. That is, what is the difference between a human language and a programming language? Okay, let's understand this in a very simple manner. Okay, what do you mean by a human language and what do you mean by programming language? So human language, as we are speaking in the English language, we have something called as words and grammar, right? I hope everyone agrees with me. We have something called as words, right? I'm speaking English now, so I'll be using some words. And if I put that words in a correct manner, that is a grammar, right? So grammar is nothing but keeping the saying such things so that it is that makes sense. That is something called as a grammar. Or simply, can I say it is a rule of writing the English language or any other language? It is nothing but the rule, correct? So to speak a human language, basically you should be knowing the words and you should be knowing where to use that words. Clear? Now, what do you mean by programming language? It's exactly the same thing. Okay, it is exactly the same thing. But whenever you are speaking a programming language, the words become keywords, the grammar becomes syntax. So what do you mean by that? See, words, in a sense, we already know that words is something we are supposed to know so that we can communicate. So exactly like words in human language, keywords is something in programming language we should be knowing where to use it. Okay, that is a keyword. Now, some grammar, I told you, it is a rule, right? It is a rule to write, or let's say rule to speak. Same, exactly like a human language. there is a rule to write a programming language called as a syntax. So this is basically a difference between a human language and a programming language. Now I'll give you a very simple example. See, if I give an example like this, if it is raining, I will ask you to take an umbrella. Let's say this is the conversation happening in human language. Okay. So if it is raining, I will ask you to take an umbrella. Else, I will ask you to take the sunglasses. So you are able to understand my, statement, because it is a very simple English language I'm using and very grammatical, correct English language I'm using. So that is the reason you are able to understand it. That is, if it is raining, I will ask you to take an umbrella. Else, I will be asking you to take the sunglasses. Now, if the same example or if the same process has to be done by a computer, then how we are supposed to communicate with that? That is done with the help of a programming language. That is, whatever the statement is there. If it is raining, okay, if it is raining. So what we are gonna do there is, if raining equal to true. Okay, if raining equal to true, we are printing that is take umbrella. Else we are else we are writing take sunglasses. So that easy is to write a programming language. So trust me, whatever programming language you have learned till now, the Python is the easiest one. Okay, when you compare any other programming language, that is C, C++, Java, or any other programming language, Python is one of the easiest language to learn. So let us begin with the starting of the programming language. I want everyone to open your laptops, because using your laptops is very, very mandatory in this particular course. I want everyone to open your laptops or any desktop you have. After that, you are supposed to use you're supposed to open your Google Drive. Okay, kindly open your Google Drive. So once you open your Google Drive, I request everyone, if you don't have your laptops or if you are not connected to your laptops right now, kindly see the process. Okay, later you can do it by yourself. So kindly open your Google Drive and you can click on this new. Okay, click on this new, go to more. Can you see this connect more apps? So kindly click on this connect more apps. So once you click on this connect more apps, you'll be getting, it's like just you're able to see Google Workspace, Marketplace. So here you're supposed to search for collab. Okay, collab. You're able to see collaboratory. I'm getting as a result. So this is something you're supposed to install. Okay, collaboratory team. This is developed by Google, and this is what we are using as a code editor. So kindly make sure you download it. So I've already installed it, so I'm not going to install it once again. So once you have installed it, what happens is you're supposed to go to new once again. You're supposed to go more once again, and now we are able to see here something called as Google Collaboratory, right? So kindly click on this Google Collaboratory, and this is the interface you're supposed to land in. It takes some time. Okay, so this is the interface you're supposed to land on. Okay, now here you can just rename the notebook. So for the entire course, we'll be using one particular what is that? Google Collaboratory. Only for the machine learning part, we'll be using a different one. Entire data science will be done in one Collaboratory. So kindly make sure you use this Collaboratory in a very good manner. Okay. So what I'll write here is ML underscore. Okay. Now we are not using the machine learning in the starting stage. So let us start with the data science. So DS. So since it is my batch 2, I'll be writing DS batch 2. Okay. So you are supposed to rename as per your wish. So I have written DS batch 2. You can write it on your own. So after doing this, you are supposed to click on this connect. You can see something called as connect here. So it is connecting. Don't worry, I'll give the instructions once again how we are supposed to install. So once you connect, basically, yes, you can use a Jupyter notebook, but the problem here is in the Jupyter notebook, you cannot share the particular file. Okay. Share the particular file in the sense, can you see this? If you click on the share, basically I can share you the link. Okay. If I change that to anyone with a link and basically this copy the link, basically this will be shared across your platforms. So if I'll be sharing this particular collaborate link in the chat box. So you're able to see it, right? So whatever updation or whatever code I have written in that particular DS batch 2 file, that will be updated automatically in your Collaboratory as well. Okay, so that is the reason we are using Google Collaborate rather than Jupyter Notebook. So Jupyter Notebook is a very, you can say it's a offline version, right? In the offline version, it takes time to download the file, then upload the file. It's too much of pain in the ass, right? So that is the reason we are not using Google. I mean the Jupyter Notebook. We are using Google Collaborate because later on you'll be having some projects to complete. So based on that projects, once you complete that project, you just click on the share and copy the link and share the link. That's it. So let us start with understanding this particular interface. But before starting the interface, I want everyone to give a thumbs up if you have completed with the process. If you are completed with the process of installing the Collaboratory, kindly give a thumbs up in the chat box if you are already completed with the process. Or if you want any other further instruction or further information, yes, one more time, right? Okay, no problem. So what I'll do is, see, go to Google Drive, click on New, go to More, Connect More Apps. Okay, so once you click on this Connect More Apps, you'll be landing into Google Workspace, right? Workspace. Here, you're supposed to search for Google Collaboratory. Okay, search for Collaboratory. So first thing you're supposed to search, and this is the software you're supposed to install. Okay, Collaboratory Team. So once you install it, go to New, go to More. Now you can see Google Collaboratory here. Just click on it once. So once you click on it, that is Google Collaboratory, you'll be landed here. Okay, you'll be landing in this particular interface, and you can change the particular, the rename in the notebook, and also you can see something called as connect here. Okay, you're supposed to connect it. That's it. Clear? Everyone has done it. So this is a primary thing you are supposed to do. So I request everyone to do it in the first step. Completed? Yes. Perfect, guys. Very good. Everyone's complete, right? Yes. Perfect. Yes. Now let us understand what is this particular interface and how we are supposed to use it. So we have something called as code and we have something called as text. Now, what is the meaning of this code and what is the meaning of this text? See, if I want to write a code, then I'll be using this particular code cell. If you want to insert a code cell, then you'll be using this particular code cell. So you can see it is been added. Now, if you want, let's say I want to insert a text before writing my code, if I want to write a text, that is, if you click on this text, you're able to see the text will be opening. But I want to create a text in the beginning. So what I'll do is, are you able to see this text and code in the cell? So you can click on this text and you can write here something called as, can you click on this T? This is nothing but toggle heading. Okay, just click on this T. It is a new section. So right here, Python, or you can write basics of Python. Basics of Python. Okay. So what happens here is, whatever you write beneath this particular basics of Python, that will be packed or that will be stacked inside this basics of Python. Okay. Whatever code you write inside this, or whatever code you write below this particular basics of Python, that will be stored inside this particular cell. Okay. So that is the reason we have written that section. So this is a cell where you're supposed to write your Python code. Okay. This is a particular cell where you're supposed to write your Python code. So let us begin with a very simple concept called as comments. So if I wanted to write something, let's say I want to add two numbers. Okay, let me take A is equal to 2, B is equal to 3. Okay, and let me take sum is equal to A plus B. Now what we have done basically, 2 is basically stored in A, 3 is basically stored in B, and we have written sum is equal to A plus B. Now I know that I know what I have written. You know what I have written because I have just now explained. But someone who doesn't know Python or doesn't know anything about programming, if he sees this, obviously it's a very simple mathematics, so obviously he'll understand it. But if it was a complex thing to understand, so how you make him understand without explaining it? That is the reason we have something called as comments. So what is the use of these comments? In the sense, just use a hashtag. Okay, kindly use a hashtag in the beginning of a statement and write anything you want. For example, I have, let me write here, adding two numbers and storing the value in sum, right? So adding two numbers and storing the value in sum. So we have brief explanation of what we are doing in this particular cell, right? But what happens here is you, whatever you write inside the hashtag, this won't be running. Okay, this Python will completely ignore this particular statement. So that is the reason it is basically called as a comment, right? So in the beginning, let me write in the first statement as something called as at title. So this is not required, but let me show you what it does. So are you able to see? If I write at title comments, what it does is if I click on this, it will show the comments preview. In a sense, only if you click on this arrow mark, then you can see whatever you have written inside. So that is the reason we have written at title comments. So not required actually, but it is a good practice to segregate whatever you have learning or whatever you learned. So comments, adding the two numbers and storing the value in sum. This statement will be completely ignored by Python programming language. Okay. So this entire two statements, whatever you have written inside the hashtags, that will be completely ignored by the Python. Now a is equal to 2 have written, b is equal to 3 have written, and sum is equal to a plus b have written. Now let us run it. So if you want to run this program, are you able to see this play button? You're able to see this play button, right? So if you click on this play button, basically it will run, right? But if you do not want to use this play button, what you can do is you can just press Control and Enter. Okay. So what I'll do is in the next line I'll write press CTRL plus Enter to run the program. Press Control plus Enter to run the program. So press Control and Enter. You're able to see we are getting a tick mark here or a right mark. So that means that your program is running. But I'm not able to get the answer. The answer is basically 5, but I'm not getting the answer. Why? Because we have not printed the value of sum. So if you want to print the value of sum, basically you are supposed to write something called as print and sum inside it. Okay, write a print statement and open bracket and close bracket and write the sum state or some variable inside it. Now, if you run this, are you able to see? Now we are getting the value as a 5, right? So this is the importance of, we are not understanding this particular part. We are understanding the comments part. Okay, comments plays a very important role in the future wherever you're learning the data science part. So that is the reason we have understood the comments in a brief way. Now you have understood. If I wanted to write comments, we are supposed to use a single line. I mean, what is that? Hashtags, right? But here we have added two more lines, right? We have added 2 lines here. But is there any way we can add multiple line comments? Yes, there is a way. That way is by using something called as triple quotes. Okay. Start with the triple quotes and end with the triple quotes. So whatever is basically inside this will be termed as multi-line comment. Okay. And whatever is there in the hashtag, this will be termed as single line comment. Okay. Most of the time we'll be using the single line comment itself. Rarely we are going to use the multi-line comment. Yeah. So I hope everyone got to know what is the difference between the single line comment and the multi-line comment and what do you mean by the comments. Is there any doubts? Is there any doubts in this? I hope not. I hope not, because it's a very straightforward statements we have to learn. Okay, let's move to the next one where we are understanding something called as a print function. Okay, so let me write here syntax for print function. So you're able to see we have learned the comment, so I'll just hide it. Okay, we have learned the comment, so let me hide it. So same thing, you can do it for the print function also. So how can I do this? Write a hashtag and write at title without any space and write print function. Okay, so you're able to see we're getting that particular arrow mark, right? So I hope this is a thing you have already learned. So syntax for writing the print function. So let us understand how to write a print function. See, this thing is very, very mandatory you to learn in the first go. So what we'll do is, first of all, write the syntax, that is print, open and close bracket. Okay, so this is a syntax you have to follow. Print, open and close bracket is a correct syntax to write a print statement. Okay, this is actually the correct syntax. So what might be the wrong syntax? Wrong syntax is using the P as a capital. Okay, using P as capital is a wrong syntax. So kindly do not use P as capital, and please kindly use P as a small case. So every letter is a small case. This is the correct syntax. Now, if I wanted to print something, for example, let's print hello world. Hello world. So are you able to see? If I wanted to print hello world, I'm opening with the single quotes. I'm ending with the single quotes, right? So this is again a correct syntax, or you can say valid syntax. So what happens if I run this? If I run this, are you able to see I'm getting the output as hello world, which is correct. Now let's understand what might be the wrong syntax. So print I'll be using. I'll not use the quotes. I'll be directly using hello world. If I run this, are you able to see I'm getting the invalid syntax as the output? It is saying that you forgot a comma, right? So that is the reason we'll use a single quotes, or we can also use a double quotes. Okay, we can also use a double quotes to open as well as to close the hello world. You're able to see two hello worlds I'm able to get. So these are both the valid syntaxes. Okay, both are valid syntaxes. Okay, I hope everyone understood what do you mean by print and how to print a words or a statement. So this is how you're supposed to print. Now, if I write, let's say number one, okay, let me write n1 is equal to 10, n2 is equal to 20, sum is equal to n1 plus n2. So if I wanted to print the value of this sum, okay, if I wanted to print the value of this sum, then I'm not supposed to use a single quotes, because if I use a single quotes, whatever is there inside the single quotes, exactly that will be printed. For example, if I run this, you're able to see it is printing sum itself. It is not printing the value of the sum. It is printing SUM. SUM. That is wrong. Whenever you're having whenever you're storing some value inside a variable, so this is called as a variable. We'll come back to that later. So this is called as a variable. So if I just click on it, sometimes it gives a preview of what is it. So this is a variable. So whenever you're printing a variable, you are not supposed to give the single quotes. If you run this, now you're able to see I'm getting the value as 30, right? So let me write here valid syntax to print the value of sum, right? So this is how you're supposed to print the value of sum. And what is the wrong syntax? Wrong syntax is printing SUM with a single quotes. So I hope everyone understood how to print the statement, or let's say how to print the words and how to print the variable, right? Now, there are some, two elements or two statement. Give me a minute. Yes, there are some parameters in print function. Okay. There are two parameters in print function. Those parameters are, so let me use a multi-line comment here. One is end parameter. One more is called as separator parameter, SEP parameter. Okay. So first one is called as the end parameter. Second one is called as a separator parameter. So let us have the examples. Let me write a print statement. Print, let's say hello world. Hello world. And in the next, let me print one more statement. Print, how are you? Okay. So let me run it. Now you can see hello world is printed in the first line and how are you is printed in the second line, right? So two statements are basically printed in the two different lines. So why it is coming to the next line? Why it is not printing in the same line? That is the reason we are supposed to learn what do you mean by end parameter. So the question is print both statements in a single line. Okay, if you wanted to print the both statements in a single line, how can we do this? See, automatically it is, the whatever the hello, the print statement is there, automatically it's coming to the new line, and however is printed in the new line, right? So if you wanted to print in a single line, so what you're supposed to do is give a comma, write the end parameter, that is END. It is not capital E, it is always small letter E, is equal to, and mention something called as new line. So by default, the end parameter will be having a new line. Okay. So that is the reason it is going to the new line. So if you press, if you give the default value as new line, obviously it is printing the as it is. But if you remove that new line, if you remove this new line, what happens? It will print hello world, but it will not go to the new line because end parameter default value we have changed to space. So it will not go to the new line. It will basically print in the same line with the space. So let's see. Are able to see? It is printing hello world, how are you in the same line. So what you can write here? Default value of end is new line. That is a backslash and n. Okay, so this is considered as a new line. So this is what you're supposed to learn in the end parameter. So let us move on to the next one where we are understanding something called as a separator parameter. In the sense, separate two statements with et. Okay, separate two statements with et. Is my voice breaking? Anyone is facing my? Is my voice breaking? Can you just confirm in the chat box? No, right? Okay, perfect. Okay. See, separator parameter works like this. In a sense, let me write two statements separating by a comma. For example, let me write, let's say, Rhinex, and let me write gmail.com. Okay. So you're able to see, basically, I'm supposed to, okay, let me first of all run it. You're able to see Rhinex by default. Okay, by default, it is providing me, the two statements are separated by a space, right? By default, the two statements are separated by a space. So by default, the separator parameter will be like this. Okay, are you able to see? It is a one space. So let me write the comment as default value of SEP is a space. Okay, space. So what I'm supposed to do, instead of space, what I'll do, I'll change that default value to et. Now what happens? It will first of all print Rhinex, but it will separate with not the space, but the whatever value you have given, that is et. So it will print Rhinex at gmail.com. So if you run this, are able to see it is printing a Rhinex at gmail.com. And Python is so smart that whenever it finds the value where Rhinex at gmail.com, or it finds the Gmail account, basically it will link it. So if I click on this, basically it's a link and it will go to the link. Okay. So this is what you're supposed to understand how advanced is Python. Okay. I hope everyone got to know what are the two parameters of print function. That is, one is the end parameter and one is the separator parameter. End parameter is basically used to it doesn't allow the statement to go to the new line if you change the value, of course. And the separator parameter, basically you can change or separate the two statements with whatever value you give. Okay. I hope till now you don't have any doubts. Let's move on to the next one. This will be the last topic, then we'll wind up the session. Can we give print inside print? It doesn't make any sense to write print inside print. If you give, it will be a syntax error. Okay. Yes. So let us start with a very, very important topic called as a variable. So let me write at title variable. So let me just, okay. So let me, you're not supposed to do this. Okay. Just for my reference, I'm doing this because I'll be sending this particular file with you guys. Okay. So that is the reason I'll be just, segregating everything. So variable, you don't have to do this. Okay. Yes. So first of all, we have understood the comments. Next, we have understood the print function. And next, we are basically understanding something called as a variable. Yes. So what is a variable? See, anything that can store a value. Okay. Anything that can store any value in Python or in programming language is termed as variable. Okay, anything that holds a value. For example, if I write a is equal to 10, now 10 is nothing but, the a is nothing but it holds a value 10, right? Basically, 10 is stored inside this a. So, can I say a is a variable? Correct. Here, a is a variable. So, why it is called as a variable? Because I can use this a so that I can use that particular value in whatever is present in that a. And a can, the variable can consist of any kind of data type. The data. For example, here it is considering a number. Let me write, let's say, message is equal to, let me write a message also. That is, let's say, hello world, right? This is also a variable. So hello world is basically stored in the message, right? And how to basically print those values by using a print statement. But whenever using a print statement, if you want to print a variable, then the variable name shouldn't be given with a single or double quotes. It is directly given. So print A, it is printing 10. And if you print the value, let's say message, so whatever message you have written, that will be printed, right? So this, can I say a and message is nothing but these are variables, right? Here message is a variable. So there are some rules to write these variables. So what are those rules? So let us understand. Let me write rules in the form of multi-line comment. So rules to write a variable. These are some very important rules. So kindly make sure you note it down. First rule is you cannot start the variable name with a number. Okay. You just cannot start a variable name with a number. In the sense, see, I have used a is equal to 10. So a is nothing but a letter. But if I start with a number, 1a is equal to 10. And if I print the value of 1a, it doesn't make any sense because the Python doesn't understand what is this. It will be completely blind, or if it is completely, confused. What is the thing you have written? So simply, it will throw you an error saying that invalid decimal literal. It is saying that here, this is not the right way to write a variable. So what is the right way? You cannot start with the number, but you can proceed with the number. In a sense, sorry, not proceed. You can write the number later. In a sense, I can write a1. Here also, let me write a1. So this is a valid variable, right? Are you able to see? So you cannot start with the start the variable name with a number, but you can continue with it. So what's the example? Example is 1A invalid, comma, A1 valid. So this is the reason. So whatever we have written here, this is the reason I told you there are no PDFs given in the entire syllabus or entire course. Whatever is done inside the practical based. So I'll be sending this particular link with you guys so that you can open it and access it. So whatever we have learning, basically I'll be commenting like this, so you're able to understand what we have done in that particular class. Next rule is we cannot use keywords as a variable name. So what do you mean by keywords? So we have already understood what do you mean by keywords. So can you see this print? So print is a keyword because print is the understanding of Python where it is understanding that I have to print something. So if we use this print as to write a variable, then it is confused. It is confusing because print is basically used to print stuff. But if you use a variable as a print statement, then it is basically confusing and it will basically throw you an error. Are you able to see here? Int object is not callable because it is not a variable. It is not a valid variable. So we cannot use keywords as a variable name. Example, print is equal to 10. So this is invalid. Okay, this is invalid. Okay, let's move to the next rule where it is case sensitive. Python is a case sensitive. What do you mean by this? See, for example, let me write A here. A is equal to 10. But while printing, I'll be printing capital A. Okay. What mistake I have done? Here I have written a small letter A, but while printing, I'll be using capital letter A. Most of the programming language will not accept this, but some of the programming language will accept this. For example, you have HTML or CSS, such kind of programming language will accept the case sensitive options. But in this case, in Python, basically it doesn't do it. So if I run this, it will throw an error saying that name A is not defined. Only if I mention both similar cases, only then I'll be getting the answer as a correct answer. So if I write A is equal to 10, but if I print, I'll not mention like this, I'll mention like this, A is equal to 10, but if I print the value of A, then it is invalid. But if you write A is equal to 10 and print the value of A, then this is a valid syntax. No use of using hashtag, but still I'm using so that we can segregate. Okay. So I hope everyone got to know what are the simple rules to be followed when you write the variable. So what we have learned in the today's class, we have learned the basics of Python. That is the comment we have learned. We have learned what is single line comment. Also, we have learned what is multi-line comment. We have also learned what do you mean by print function and how to use a print function. See, we have learned how to write the correct syntax and wrong syntax also. We have learned what do you mean by separate a parameter and end parameter also. And also we have learned what is a variable and what are the rules to write a variable. So this is it for today. I don't want to stress too much things in your first day of class. And if you have any kinds of doubt, kindly stay back in the meeting or else you're good to go.